Hey guys, we're back again looking at another figure kit this week. This week we'll be looking at minimum factory kit again, this time of the Musashi. Um, a lot of this kit will be similar in nature to the Yamato, which we reviewed some time ago, but this time we're looking at her sister Musashi. Let's open her on up and take a look. Box will open. Now, right away, I will say this: some of the kit's parts are the same between the two. It, so, yeah, specifically the ship parts. So I will not be going back over those again, as there's really no point. If you want to see my thoughts on those, take a look at my earlier Yamato review. I'll put a link somewhere, either on screen or in the description. Let's get into it. First up, we've got some of the smaller detail parts for the headpiece, armbands, and the feet. Some of the detailing is a little on the softer side, but not by much. Continuing on, we've got parts for her skirt, the bottom of her shoes with her rudders, scarf piece, a couple other little detail parts go with her. Again, some of the detailing could be a little crisper, but it's still passable, especially for this small scale. Continuing on, we've got some of the various wrap parts that she uses, including her torso and arm, her big cannon shells that she has, as well as a couple other smaller detail parts around her body. Next up, we've got her hair pieces, which are broken down the front, back, sides, and this little extra subpart. Overall, I think this is a smart breakdown, as you will have to fit in that headpiece, which does basically represent her radar, in here, and then obviously bringing that in front. Here they did what I would consider a nice job with the representation of the hair follicles. Hopefully this is showing up decently on camera. The only concern I have is with these smaller pigtails, as they are very thin, and I mean very thin, so they will require some very careful handling, as I can see those easily breaking when you're trying to get them off the sprue. Now, moving on, we've got all of the flesh parts, including her face, which they've done a fair job doing. You'll have to obviously paint in the whites, her lower torso, upper torso, bust, arms and legs, and so forth. Overall, amount of detailing is quite extensive. You will have to do a little bit of brush painting in here just to capture all the details. Overall, I'm quite pleased with this. Now, continuing on, we've got some more of her clothes as well as her hands, which done a pretty decent job capturing the hands, I feel, as well as our moving on is included here in the leg detail. Obviously, a lot of this you'll have to go in and brush paint, so that is something to be plan ahead for. Only issue here I see is, since this is molded in sort of I would call it an off black. I guess that's probably the closest color I could come up with, as it's a very dark gray, but closer to black. But fortunately, a lot of this you will not have to deal with as much gluing, as we'll see in instructions. It's pretty smartly laid out how they have everything come together. So, moving on, skip the ship parts, as I said. Oh, almost forgot. She does also come with an interesting belt piece, though for some reason, and I don't know if this is just a bad casting on mine, it doesn't connect all the way. So I'm curious if that's an issue with mine or if no, that's how it's supposed to be, as I cannot 100% tell either from the instructions or looking at reference photos. You also do get a little sheet of decals, including nameplate, eyes, and a couple other detail parts. Overall, nice inclusion. Now, on to assembly. Again, ship parts are much the same. I'm not going to spend too much time here. They're pretty quick and relatively painless. Now, moving on to assembling figure. As I said, most everything will fall in, so you're only really going to need the major sub-assembly points. A lot of the detail parts you can get away with just loosely attaching, which is smart, as it will save a little time, and you're less likely to accidentally mar the finish on something with glue. So that is a nice plus, I would say, as again, any chance you get to, idiot-proof yourself is a welcome bonus. Beyond that, assembly is pretty straightforward. There's no real sort of gotchas. Only thing I would say is there is a fair bit amount of brush and detail painting in the skirt and clothes you are going to have to do. So be aware of that. So, overall, again, I think this is another nice little Max Factory kit for their Playmax line. Now, obviously, 1/20th scale is on the small side of things, so that is something that might turn some people off. Personally, I do wish they would eventually do larger scaled figures, at least 1/8, because I think that there is a market for that, as compared to the cost of a garage kit. Plastic kit is definitely a lot cheaper and more easily manufactured, but all the same, I definitely one to consider if you're into figure kit building. It is small, and you will have to do a fair amount of brush painting, but it still will fall together very nicely, and you shouldn't have too many issues. So that was a look at Max Factory's 1/20th scale Musashi and their minimum factory line. Nice little kit, a couple challenges, but definitely one to consider. Until next time.